Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank. Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes. Today being Wednesday, November 10th. My name is Gisani Cayetano.
I'm Paul Lopez.
And welcome to our show this morning. Before we begin, Paul, I'd like for us to get a quick word from our correspondent in Glasgow to give us an update as to what's taking place there with COP26. And then thereafter we can deal with other housekeeping matters before we get into our show for full this morning.
Indeed.
That being said, guys, we have with us Dwayne Moody. He's on standby from Glasgow, and he will be bringing us the latest of what's taking place there. Good morning, Dwayne.
Hi, good morning, Isani. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning.
Actually, I am on my way to Glasgow. We had some issues in terms of transportation, and so the trains, there were some delays. And so I'm actually on a train right now heading to Glasgow. But I can tell you that what is happening there are the ministerial meetings, the high-level ministerial meetings. Those continue to happen. They began on Monday and will continue through to the end of this week. They're really just working on finalizing the document that is to come out of Glasgow, COP26. I can tell you that on the agenda for today, there are a string of things that our minister and the Belize delegation, well, the team that was left behind, their meeting, that those persons include our lead negotiator, Ambassador Carlos Fuller, also AOSIS lead negotiator, Ambassador Janine Felson, along with Minister Orlando Habet from the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Climate Change and Disaster Risk Management, his CEO, Dr. Kenrick Williams, and members from that ministry. On the agenda today, there is a call for an integrative approach that would include climate, biodiversity, disaster risk reduction, and the Sustainable Development Goals. The minister will be sitting in that. They're also going to be discussing Article 6 readiness. Now, for those who don't know, Article 6 is dealing with climate financing, dealing with carbon credits. And there is a story that will air later today in the newscast where Belize was highlighted yesterday for having done what it takes to make itself carbon credit ready. Let's put it like that, right? So RED Plus, which is a mechanism that was established by the UNFCCC, basically Belize adopted this mechanism and was able to establish what its forest stock is. And it is now in a place where it is ready to sell its carbon stock. Those credits, from what I was able to gather, was 5.6 million tons of carbon credits that Belize would have for sale. In Article 6, the value per ton of those credits, that has not been ironed out as yet. And so that is why the Article 6 is really important at this time and needs to be finalized before the end of COP26. There are other discussions that are taking place today that will include CEO Williams, including the launch of a capacity building program, like I said, for the Article 6. And they're looking at who would be the potential buyers in the market, whether it would be private sector entities, private companies, or countries who are emitting GHGs, right? And so those things are being finalized throughout this week. But the realities are that if GHG emissions are not decreased by 45% and these countries don't commit to this, we will surpass the 1.5 degrees warmer that was set out in the Paris Agreement back in 2015. You heard Dr. Colin Young from 5Cs on Tuesday in the news say that if that is to happen, COP26 would have failed, in that there's no doubt that what we're experiencing now in terms of the intensity of storms, in terms of the drought, it's going to get worse. If it's already bad, it will be worse than that. And so it's very critical right now. The meetings that are happening, Ambassador Felson has said that we need to make sure that we're at a point where we don't leave COP26 without having ironed out all these things.
Has there been any indication on our part as to what we would do with those funds once we're able to sell the carbon credits, be that to the private sector, as you said, or to any other interested country or buyer? Has the government indicated what it's going to be using those monies for? Or is it perhaps premature at this point in time and we haven't gotten there just yet?
They haven't gotten there just yet. What I was able to get from an interview, and again, that will be aired tonight in the 6 o'clock newscast. I spoke with Dr. Kenrick Williams, our CEO in the ministry, who spoke of the fact that there has been collaboration with other ministries, including the Ministry of Economic Development, as well as the Ministry of Finance, because while from the environmental standpoint, his ministry will be dealing with looking at our carbon stock and all of that, the AG's ministry is still needed to determine who has ownership of this intangible product, because so the AG's ministry will be responsible for creating the legislation that would go along with this. The Ministry of Finance will obviously be responsible for in terms of the exchange monies in exchange for the carbon credit, and then the economic development ministry has to look at who benefits, because while yes, the forests are in Cayo and down south, the whole of the entire country has to benefit from it.
Yeah.
Like the fisherman that is in Belize City has to also benefit from it. So they're going to look at all of that, how it will help with alleviating poverty, how it's going to help with creating jobs, all of these. So he says that this is the point where we're at, and so it is pivotal that we have all these line ministries involved in this process, and so that's where Belize is at this point in time.
Perfect. Well said, Dwayne. So we look forward to getting a comprehensive story from you later on in the evening newscast. Thanks for joining us and providing us with that brief update.
You're welcome. You're welcome, guys.
All right. Stay safe.
All right. So there we had it, all the way out of Glasgow, Scotland, as Dwayne makes his way to the venue for where COP26 is obviously being held. It's always interesting to get the updates. Of course, we'll see. It's as they say, the proof is really in the eating.
Yeah.
And so we'll wait until these meetings come to an end, which we anticipate will be by Friday. Even though there are some reports suggesting that negotiations may go well into next week. However, the event is scheduled to finish on Friday. And so when Dwayne gets back next week, I perhaps can anticipate that he'll be able to give us, an in-person summary, or
Yeah.
perhaps even go into details, more details of exactly what it is he met on the ground and met in those meetings as he gave us those coverages. So we're looking forward to seeing him return, not only because we want him back in the newsroom, but also because he will be able to give us a deeper insight into what's been happening there. And while we're on the matter of finances, I think it's good to note that today starts the first day, the opening day for the Belize Investment Summit. It's an international summit, investment summit that is, and it's kicking off in San Pedro, as I understand it, on Berkeley's Key. We, according to the schedule or some of what I've seen, we expect speeches from the Prime Minister, one. We expect to attract investors to Belize. I anticipate from across the region and perhaps different parts of the region, we anticipate investors to Belize, and we're told that it is organized in such a way where investors can avoid the bureaucracy of investing in Belize, and the process of investing can be a bit more easier on them, and ease of flow of business. And so throughout today and tomorrow, both days that the summit is taking place, we will have our reporter Marian Ali on the ground, and she will be bringing us daily updates on that. And as you can see, there'll be opportunities for investment in manufacturing, in offshore outsourcing, in tourism, all the products, the variety of products that Belize has to offer. And I think it's a big move, it's a bold move in a time when the economy needs that injection, that added boost. If we can, in fact, get some of those investments, I believe we could see it go for the long haul in a good direction.
I think of it as somewhat of an expo, where we're trying to attract, in this case, investors as opposed to buyers, right? We're trying to attract investors to come in and look at what is available, right, in terms of investment opportunities. You're looking at various aspects of business, industry. You're looking at, in some instance, business process outsourcing, which is the services sector. You're looking at various aspects, as I'm mentioning, where we're trying to see how best we can get investors to come in, to infuse monies back into our economy, and to allow for other opportunities to arise, job opportunities, economic opportunities in other areas as well. So as you've mentioned, it is an initiative undertaken by this present administration. This is the first of its kind for this particular term in office. And while we wish them well and we hope that this will be as successful as they planned it to be, that we can see more initiatives like this going forward.
Indeed.
I guess the end game is complete and total economic recovery. So for us to be able to achieve that end, we ought to be able to advertise what we have at present, and we ought to be able to listen to what the wider business community has to say. You always look at the public-private or private-public partnership, right? The PPPs. You always have to look at that to be able to determine, okay, what direction are we going in? Because both sectors have to be able to work in unison. If you're looking at the economy and you're looking at recovery, then it's a mutual effort. Right? So, like you said, we have Marian that's going to be out there today. Today is the official launch of the investment summit. And so we'll hear from her what are some of perhaps the big issues that investors are looking at, that our government officials will be discussing and what the private sector as well has to say.
And just to put a note there as well that the government, Britannia administration, decided to bring out the big guns in that for that vote of confidence in this investment summit, they decided to bring in the former leader of Canada, Mr. Stephen Harper, who from the Harper and Associates firm, and he will be giving the keynote address there. And so I would assume that that will give them that type of international boost and vote of confidence that they need.
All right, so we move from the chit-chat that we're having in terms of what's taking place in and about the country, and we move to our eye-opener. Yeah. All right, so as usual, our eye-opener is taken from thedailyarm.com. Today's reading goes as follows. Every person on this planet has a story to tell, something that makes them unique, adding to the whole. It's easy to forget sometimes that everyone has a story to tell if we take the time to listen. We are so accustomed to hearing the stories of people in the news that we sometimes lose track of the fact that the random stranger on the bus also has a fascinating story about where they come from and how they got to where they are. The sheer variety of paths taken in this world, from farmers to CEOs to homeless people to world travelers, is indicative of how much we can learn from each individual. Sometimes the shy, quiet person at work has the most amazing life story and the biggest dreams. It is up to us to take the time to find out. Bearing this in mind, we have the opportunity to approach the world around us in a new way. There is never any reason to be bored at a party, or on the bus, or in a conversation with a stranger. When we retain the spark of curiosity and the warmth required to open someone up, we always have in front of us the makings of a great story. All we have to do is ask.
This eye-opener makes me question, when is the last time I actually sat down in a public space and actually asked somebody about their life story, actually asked somebody, tell me a bit about yourself, apart from doing an interview, of course.
Yeah.
And it's right, there are some interesting undiscovered stories out there that we would find amusing if we really just sit down and, hey, what's your story? But how often do we really do that?
Well, the thing is, and to an extent I can say that perhaps this is part of social behavior, if that were the expression to use, that we often see things and take things at surface value.
Right.
So that when we encounter a stranger on the bus, for instance, that individual comes and sits right next to us. We don't open up and say, hey, good morning, where are you coming from? You know, how are you? Which are essential questions that break the ice. Right. And then you get to learn about someone, what their trials are, what their triumphs are, the journey that they've taken to where they are. We don't do that. The individual sits right next to us and then we just continue doing what we're doing, completely perhaps ignoring that someone is there, and we don't allow ourselves to open up. I say that because indeed we all have an individual story. And it's always a fascinating story because for the most part, it's unique to us, where we come from, where we are and where we're going. And I often look at myself, and you'll forgive me, I always prefer to personalize eye-openers so that I'm speaking from a point of view where I know what I'm weighing in on. I look at myself, for instance, right? And people look at me based on the work that I do. I am in the media. I'm on TV every day, every other day, what have you. People see me as that. But they don't know the full story.
Right.
So if they're looking at someone and say, you know what, he is successful, okay, fair enough. But what did it take to get to where he is? That's where the story lies. It's the same way that I may look at you and say, hey, Paul is a good reporter, he's a good
Good-looking guy.
host. Perhaps
Yeah,
even I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
about the good looking guy part. I'll leave that for someone else to determine. But,
Yeah.
but if I'm saying Paul is a fairly good reporter, right? Without asking, how did you get involved in it? What sparked your interest in the first place? What were some of the challenges? Then I'm only looking at surface value,
Right.
right? And I'm saying to you that what I take away from the eye opener is the fact that to be able to go deeper, we need to be able to ask certain questions that allow people to open up.
Right.
That's how we get an appreciation and an understanding of who people are, what their journey looks like, and then in some cases we can make certain comparisons to see if things are similar either along the path that I'm taking or in some of the experience we have shared.
So
That's my takeaway from the eye opener.
what I get from what you're saying is we have to be willing to break the ice.
Yeah, certainly.
So yeah, that's a challenge. That's the challenge.
Challenge yourself for that today.
Of course, definitely.
Break the ice somewhere. All right, guys, so that's our eye opener for the morning. We now make way for the weather. I know that when we woke up this morning, it was quite cool. Some people would say a bit chilly.
I'm not complaining, Isani.
Throughout the course of the night, I had to kind of pull for the sheet once or twice. But it's November.
Yeah.
We're going into December. It's that time of year.
Exactly, and that's the reason why I'm not complaining.
All right, so we will read the weather forecast, or do we have something prepared? Okay, we'll go ahead and read the weather forecast for today. This was prepared as of 6 a.m. It says here the general situation calls for mainly fair conditions to prevail. Our 24-hour forecast is for mostly sunny with little or no rainfall today, then clear to partly cloudy tonight with isolated showers and a chance for an isolated thunderstorm over the south coast.
In terms of the temperatures, we're seeing highs today along the coast, 84 degrees Fahrenheit, inland 90 degrees Fahrenheit, in the hills 74 degrees Fahrenheit. And the lows for tonight, we see along the coast a cool 72 degrees Fahrenheit, and then it drops lower in the inlands with a 66 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you're up in the hills, well, brace yourself for 60 degrees Fahrenheit. That's throughout tonight, and that's what we have in terms of temperature. And then when we take a look at our outlook for the next 24 hours, we see mainly fair weather with isolated showers and a chance for isolated thunderstorms over northern areas for Thursday. Then slightly more activity along the coast for Thursday night. So Thursday, some showers up north, and the activities increase along the coast when we go into tomorrow night.
All right, so this general weather forecast was prepared by the National Met Service through forecaster Crystal Rosales. So we want to say thank you guys for providing us with that information. All right, so today's show looks like this, right? We'll have a one-on-one conversation with the Special Envoy for Families and Children as she discusses a number of topics, Paul.
Yeah, looking forward to that conversation. And then in our second segment, we're taking a look at World Diabetes Day as the community prepares to celebrate it on November 14th under the theme Access to Diabetes Care, if not now, when? And so we will be having in a couple guests to discuss World Diabetes Day.
Our third segment will be a conversation with the University of Belize as they prepare for their 14th annual marketing expo. That said, we'll take our first commercial break. When we return, it's to commence our show in full with our initial discussion with the special envoy. Stay tuned.
We have been a partner with SMART for over 10 plus years. We have a full SMART plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this SMART service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our SMART service, we pay an average of about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to SMART because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
SMART continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
Good morning, sweetie. It's time for school.
Are you a teacher or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
How can we support the emotional well-being of older adults during COVID-19? During the COVID-19 pandemic, and particularly while in quarantine, individuals, including older adults, may become more anxious, angry, stressed, agitated, or withdrawn, especially those who need healthcare assistance or have cognitive decline or dementia. Here are 4 strategies that can help you in supporting an older adult during this difficult time. 1. Communicate information and listen. Present with accurate, simple, and accessible information and facts about the COVID-19 outbreak, its progression, treatment, and effective strategies to prevent infection. Listen patiently to their needs and concerns. For older people with mild cognitive impairment or early stages of dementia, inform them of what is happening within their capacity and provide support to ease their anxiety and stress. 2. Promote positive mental and emotional health. Provide access to available mental health and psychosocial support services, also known as MHPSS services, for older adults and communicate when and how they can access them. Help older people keep regular routines and schedules as much as possible. You can also help them create new ones, including regular exercising, cleaning, daily chores, singing, painting, or other activities. Facilitate regular communication between older adults and their friends and families. 3. Help with medical needs. Make sure that older adults have at least up to 1 month of all the regular medicines that they may require. Explain how to use protective devices in a clear, concise way. Always be respectful and patient. 4. Assist with daily activities. Provide older people with details related to how and where they can get practical help if needed, like calling a taxi, dropping off supplies, having groceries delivered, and requesting medical care, as well as information on any locally available social support programs and services. For more information, consult the webpage of the Pan American Health Organization, www.paho.org/coronavirus.
If you are ailing due to a chronic disease and are left permanently invalid before retirement age, you may want to check if you qualify to receive invalidity benefit. The invalidity benefit exists for persons who are unable to continue working due to permanent illness. To qualify, you must be under 60 years old, must be sick for 26 consecutive weeks and certified to be medically unable to perform any type of work, must have at least 5 years of paid SSB contributions and at least 5 paid within the 3 months leading up to your illness. If you do not qualify for the invalidity pension, you may be eligible for the invalidity grant. Want to know more about invalidity benefit? Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board. Safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Today's COVID update is brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
And welcome back. As we mentioned prior to our commercial break, our first conversation this morning will be with the Special Envoy for Families and Children. We have with us in studio this morning, Rosanna Briceño. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So there are a number of issues that we'd like to tackle with you briefly this morning during this particular segment. And perhaps we can begin with the 16 days of activism. I know the month of November is usually set aside, is annually designated as the month where we raise awareness for issues involving women and activism to end gender-based violence and what have you. Let's begin there. What are we looking at this year in terms of either a theme or any particular initiative being undertaken by your office to raise awareness?
Okay, thank you for having me here again. Yes, November has always been identified as the month to highlight and bring awareness to women, and especially gender-based violence against women and their human rights. So this year, what working collaboratively, because I think that was my first thing that I said in the beginning, that my work as Special Envoy is for advocacy and creating partners, working in collaboration with other organizations. So I, of course, reached out to the Women's Commission and a number of other organizations that, per usual, because that's the word that they like to use, no? Per usual, we do this every year. And I think the theme that they came up with from the Women's Commission, and because there's so many themes out there, so we try to narrow down to make it Belize adaptable, right? So the theme for this year is Me and You, from 16 days to 365. End violence against women now. The first time I heard that long theme, I said, man, every theme in Belize has to be a long statement. It just can't be end violence now, you know, it has to go on and on and on. But I get it. This time I did. I did some research on my own, and like you specifically mentioned as we started talking, November. Why November? Well, I asked myself the same thing, why November? But it seems that November, it's this whole, it's an international campaign that began in 1991. And it started because it's used to highlight the link between violence against women and human rights, especially with the emphasis on women's human rights. And it officially began on November 25th. Thereafter, for example, today, 2021 commemorates the 50th anniversary of this global campaign. So it's a worldwide thing that's promoting awareness. And what I think hit me the most was with the 365 added to the theme, is that every day we're supposed to be working and promoting awareness. And when reading on the data, it said that the idea for 365 means that what we should be able to do as a country and as a whole global, to promote global awareness too, is that every month, every 25th of every month, we should highlight it as an Orange Day, which the color orange became synonymous with women against violence, the whole 16 days of activism. And really, orange is supposed to promote that the idea that women should be free of gender-based violence.
Yeah.
So that's why the color orange. And in reality, it's an everyday battle.
Right.
So it shouldn't just be on November 25th every year. It should be every month, every day. But specifically, the theme is highlighting that awareness that maybe, you know, what we should be looking at is that, okay, every 25th of every month, let's have an orange day.
Yeah.
Just to keep it going, you know, that we're still pushing for the end, because we're looking at for an end to gender-based violence. And it's gender-based violence encompasses a lot of everybody, both males and females. But in this 16 days of activism, it's specifically geared towards women's human rights.
You're right in that when we think about gender-based violence and violence against women, it's usually attached to the 16 days of activism. Right. That's when we take a lot of time to focus on violence against women, and unfortunately, the period is also infamous in Belize for cases and severe cases of gender-based violence coming up in the media. But in terms of the mechanisms to bring awareness to those persons on the ground that are actually in these situations, how effective are those mechanisms in getting out this awareness on a monthly, weekly, daily basis?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't know if it's sheer coincidence or just craziness, you know. But yes, you are right. Every November, there's a sensational killing.
Yeah.
It has become a pattern that definitely needs to be broken. It's crazy when you look back at the deaths of young women, you know. It's a personal thing for us too in Orange Walk, when a young lady was killed in November. Just everybody knew this young woman in the community, and we in Belize, we try not to, you know, it's a not call out the dead name and things like that, but this was an amazing young woman coming up, you know. She had a child, her name was Christy. And she hit, her death hit and touched everybody in our community. Likewise, when there's a death in any other community, Belize is too small. We know each other, or we know of each other. And we make it a business for know of each other. So when these things happen, it hits home, you know. So it's incredible that that we're still looking, and it's not even just sensationalizing the deaths, but on the radio yesterday, listening to a talk show, they were talking about the media and the approach to sensationalizing violence, you know.
Yeah.
And it's I think even the media has to look at ways of how they are presenting these things, because sometimes what we end up re-victimizing people or making it as an entertainment, when it's not entertainment. It's something that needs to be addressed in our country. I think I didn't answer what you said. I got carried away, but
if you allow me to throw this in there,
go ahead.
Just to expand on what you're saying, Special Envoy. So while there is a professional responsibility on the part of us as media practitioners, I am looking at the issue as an all of society approach. Because while what we put out there perhaps influences the mindset of some people who are gullible or who are easily impressionable, you also have other people who have key roles in raising the awareness. So if we're saying, for instance, that certain things begin at home, then the interaction between man and woman has a bearing on the child. right? When you look at the classroom setting, for instance,
right.
If you have a male educator or a female educator, their outlook and their perspective and the way how they treat the students, either male or female, also has an effect on how you look at gender interaction and that sort of stuff. So I'm looking at it from the perspective that each of us has a responsibility. I'm not defending what we do or what we don't do as the media. I'm simply saying that, look, all of us need to look at where we are in the bigger picture that we're moving towards ending GBV, right? And that there's a role for each of us to play at all levels.
I totally agree with you, because I'm not picking on the media today. I just use that as an example.
Which is a fair example, which is a perfectly fair example.
But yes, it has to, we like to say it has to start at home, because the home is where the child grows up and learns behaviors. But we are very stereotypical too. So we expect a girl to behave in a certain way and a boy to behave in a certain way, you know, that macho thing and that saving the princess kind of thing, you know. But yes, there's school, there's the church, the community, there's the workplace. All of these need to put efforts to ensure that we're not being stereotypical, we are being open, we're respecting each other, because that's where it begins. The level that the disrespect, I would say, for human beings in Belize has escalated to the point that a life has no...
you look at it as though it has no value.
Like there's no value anymore. They're just killing each other. They're just, especially with the gang situation and crime, and then the crime against women, the violence against women and children. Because when the women are in a position that they're being, or they are in a situation that they're being abused and there's violence in the family, this is what the children are learning. So they grow up with this thinking it's okay, and it becomes a vicious cycle. When we're always hoping that the school becomes the safest place for our children. And yes, you said the approaches that a male and a female teacher take may be different, but that comes with how we were taught, how we grew up, and that can change. It's a matter of educating, resensitizing our teachers and our children. The school is supposed to be the first place where they learn how to get along, all the character values, all the character education and the spirituality. But I don't know, maybe Jesus has left our classrooms. We need to bring him back.
How has COVID-19 and the stresses that come with that, economy, job losses, etc., how has that increased the reports of domestic violence, if any at all? What sort of effect has that had?
It has escalated. I was reading through a paper, and I might not be sure, but I think for 2021, the cases are out of order. 875 cases of violence, you know, and that's because that's just the ones that were reported. You know, we have many, many more that were not reported. Or they were reported, the women or the men or whoever went to make a report, but they went home and things get calm, and you know, and so you know what, drop the charges. And this is a problem, a big problem, because then 2 months later, 3 months later, it happens again. There's no recorded evidence because that's thrown away. So these are some things I think that we may need to look at in terms of policies and reform and things, and that would come with a lot of training. This will not happen overnight, where maybe once the woman makes a report, then it's recorded and it kept in a file and say, So if something happens to that person a year later or 2 years later, there was already a pattern, there was already something filed. This isn't something that just happened yesterday. There's evidence to show that this situation began and it has escalated to where maybe they're dead. You know, so I know there's a lot that needs to be done.
It's interesting that we'll be discussing this within the context of the pandemic, simply because I could recall last year at the onset of COVID-19 and the fact that we had lockdowns and prolonged period of time where the family has to occupy the same shared space because of either joblessness, because the students can't return to the classroom, so now they have to be administered classes virtually from their living rooms or from home or what have you. It creates a situation or an environment where, for instance, if both parents go to work and the child goes to school, they will only come together, for instance, in the evening time, which is, you know, enough time for a meal, discussion, go to bed, start the same cycle again the following day. But during the period of the lockdown, everybody is at home. So certain behavior, certain things that you would ordinarily overlook because you're not in each other's physical presence that often, now gets amplified. And so it creates a situation where there's perhaps friction between man and woman, and then the cases begin to go up. The number of reported cases of gender-based violence. And this was, I wouldn't say foretold per se, but it was expected because I could recall some of the people from the various government ministries, human development was one of them, who said, okay, well, look forward to seeing such a rise in the number of cases because of this particular situation.
And you are exactly right. Because of COVID, it compounded the situation. It got really, really bad because the frustrations were building up. You're talking about losing a job, the children at home now full-time, mother has become, and even the father have become the teachers. And in many, many cases, the parents don't know how to teach their children. And not to knock my fellow teachers, because I think they have done, most of them have done an excellent job providing that online, and the packages at the beginning was all packages. It's a lot of work to put things together. But then you send home a package and then the parent has to be the teacher and going through the packages. And so a lot of the children that got packages or actually have access to online is very, very small compared to being in school face to face. So the situation in the house basically became toxic. We have some parents that were pleading, please open the schools, you know, we need to send back these children, and the children are losing out. And then that's creating, like you said and you mentioned, the stresses, you know. They become in your face now. It's just too much. You're not used to being at home all the time and there's no money coming in. The children are hungry. You have to pay bills. I mean, you can imagine that frustration building up, and then somebody has to find ways of releasing this tension, and it's negative. It's a negative.
It's a reality check that perhaps many of us were not prepared to face, simply because, as I mentioned earlier, when each member of the household goes about his or her own business on a daily basis, we tend to not really focus on the little things that would irk us, in a manner of speaking. But when you're in a communal space, you're already trying to figure out, okay, if I'm on pantry, we need to be able to ration out the food. If I've lost my job and I'm getting $150 every 2 weeks, we need to figure out how we're going to pay the bills. But then you have a child, or you have kids who are demanding certain attention from you, whereas if you are at work, things are different. They'd be in school, you know, it's a different dynamic or scenario. But now you're at home and you have to face this. And it's a kind of reality check, like I said, many of us did not see that coming at all. Who would have thought that a pandemic would have essentially changed the way we lived. We're only now trying to find a sense of normalcy, but for the better part of a year and a half, things have altogether been topsy-turvy.
And it has, and there have been many deaths. Fathers have died, the breadwinners, mothers have died, you know, the grandparents have died. We, in our Belizean society, we look to our grandparents to help us with our children, you know. Where we leave the child, we prefer to leave the child with the grandparents than with a babysitter. So the death, I think that has touched everybody in Belize. It has hit home. Like you said, who would have thought that this pandemic would have turned our world upside down? The sense of normalcy, I don't know if we will ever have that. Ever. We're sitting in a talk show wearing masks. Seriously.
You read my mind.
You know, does this feel normal? No, it doesn't. And in the home, imagine the situation where there's no income coming in, you're waiting for the pantry, the 150 every 2 weeks. It's just setting up the whole society for failure.
And it leads to a domino effect of unfortunate circumstances and even casualties. We've seen in the past 3 months, I would imagine, some 6 to 7 youths, children, young men, but children nonetheless, that have been gunned down. A lot of it perhaps due to the fact that they don't have that safe space to go to, that safe space that was once there, that in terms of schools. This current administration, in seeking to address the issue of crime and violence, is planning to take somewhat of an integrated approach in terms of involving various ministries. How much is your office in that conversation in ensuring that they are pressed, in ensuring that these solutions actually come about and that the children of Belize remains a priority in these solutions?
Unfortunately for the Prime Minister, I am married to him. So he will hear this every day. Because of my office. And he put me there, so. I said, be careful what you wish for, right?
You might very well get it.
But yes, because of what my office is about. It's for advocacy. It's for the development of families and children. So the approach that I have taken really is a collaborative one. The office does not provide any services. The office has no money to give. But if we collaborate with human development, with the other NGOs out there that are responsible for education, for crime prevention, for jobs and health, I think in that way, with that collaborative approach, the Plan Belize can be held accountable. Because it will not take the police to fix the problem. In many cases, with all due respect to the police are the problem. And I'll put my foot in my mouth, but this is the reality of the situation. So we need to start from the top, where things needs to be changed. Some reforms need to be put in place, because for the prevention of crime, it will not take one entity, one organization. It will take a collaborative, a holistic approach to the prevention of crime, beginning from the home, in the schools, in the churches, you know. I always feel that church should be a safe place where you're taught to love one another and all of that, the good values, you know, and it reinforce that in the schools and in the community. But that sense of loss, of losing all of these values is in our country right now.
When you look at, as you've mentioned, the church has long since been the pillar of the community, right? It's almost like a market where everybody comes to buy their produce and their food stuff and what have you. Well, everybody goes to church, or used to go to church.
Used to, yeah.
To cleanse themselves spiritually. But in the process of so doing, you get to learn more about your brother or your sister. And so there's a respect and an appreciation for each other that was created by the church. When you look at what is happening today, for instance, you don't really have that sense of unity, simply because we have moved away from certain values or certain institutions, if I may, that were put in place for us to be able to realize that as a people, we ought to remain together. So people don't really go to church like that anymore. You find out that their value systems change altogether. And what you hold dear to you by way of your morals and what you were raised with may be totally different from mine or his. So now when you come into one space, you find that we're not on the same wavelength. Whereas the church used to bring us together and say, okay, well, this is the word, you have an interpretation of the word, but at the end of the day, we all walk away and say, okay, you know what, I appreciate Paul, I appreciate Rosanna. We no longer do that. So now you find that individual thinking in that manner takes us in different direction. I was looking at this the other day because in a chat group that I'm in, a young man raised the question, how are we raising our children to be able to emulate the good things about us as parents? It's a very interesting question, and I pose that same question to you in your capacity as a special envoy. Because at the end of the day, it goes back to what we're saying, value systems, right? How do we impart that knowledge that our parents shared with us to our kids when there are all these other influences that come to play? You don't have kids in school right now. They're on their device. They're on their device. They're open to the world of everything else that's on social media.
Yes, they are.
Let me put that to you.
And that's tough. That is a tough question because everybody grew up with different values. When we look at our community in our Belize, we're talking just Belize, there's different ethnic groups. And everybody has their own traditions and values that they want to impart to their children. Not to divert too much, but visiting in PG, these women were keen on teaching their young daughters and granddaughters the art of stitching, the embroidery, and they sit as a family, you know, and they have to do this because they're afraid of losing it. I know in the Garifuna culture, or the language, it's rich. They're not ashamed of speaking in the Garifuna language because it's something that they don't want to lose.
Yeah.
Going to the mestizos right now, everybody's looking for their roots. You know, they're trying to, where do I belong? Where did I come from? And when I'm thinking of the mestizo community, it's the approach that it could be good and bad. We have good traditions and bad traditions, and in every other ethnic group in Belize. That machismo approach, you know, where the man is the head of the house and the women are supposed to just cook and wash and not say nothing, just no look for me too hard today. That has, I think, has escalated to the point that there's no respect anymore. And that sense of our values have been lost. And you said rightly, our children are stuck at home right now on their devices, some, getting exposed to God knows what, because there's so much there's little control that parents have, you know. And in a way they say, you know what, they see their child on the device and they're like, oh, he's busy, you know, barami, so left and right there. When that might not be the best thing to do, you need to find out, what is my child?
Yep.
Why is he spending so many hours on this device? And they get caught up in this cyber world, you know. There's a lot of things going on. I remember one of my sons, the youngest one, he had no reason to leave his room. He was on his device all day. I'm thinking, okay, we're doing online. But there's a whole world out there, and they're talking to people, and we have no clue who they're talking to. So when it comes to how will I pass down my values to my children, that's an individual thing that we need to look at, and look at ourselves, self-reflect, and say, start with us. What am I doing to help my child grow up with the values that I want him or her to grow up with? These young parents nowadays that I see, I admire them, you know. Some of them are really trying to instill good values in their children, and they're going by the book. And we're saying, I don't raise 3 pigs, I know that ended. You know, by chewing on a chicken bone or something. But no, the child is not ready to eat solid foods yet, and things like that. And it goes the same way with raising our children. They need to know what the rules are at home, what the rules are in society. Everywhere you go, there's workplace rules, there's church rules, there's all kind of rules. And if our children don't know to follow rules, they will never get ahead in life. So it starts from small.
Below the surface of ethnicities and the ethnic brackets, there's also social brackets, economic brackets. And it is safe to admit that there are some disparities in those areas when it comes to communities, when it comes to different families. And admittedly, oftentimes these disparities, they create the type of values we may have as a family. They help to develop it. So while one family and parents may value getting good grades, another family may value the art of hard work.
Right.
While one family, perhaps on a lower social and economic bracket, might value the hunt to get food, the hunt to get finances on a daily basis. I believe that these disparities must also be taken into consideration and must also be addressed in order to create perhaps what is a level playing field for access to all. Because while one family may have access to internet for their children, that's not the reality of all the families and children in Belize.
And that's why it's important that our children get back to the classrooms. That's the only thing that will level this playing field. Because you are right, the disparities are in our faces every day, and we are faced with them. But when they go in the classroom, it's different. They're in the same classroom, they have the same subjects being taught to them at the same time. They're leaving with the same level of education. Education is key, you know. We like to say education is the way to go. But education is not accessible to everybody. I know I'm paying for this, but it's important that when we talk about free education, that we look at the details of that. Because free is not free, it's costing somebody.
Nothing is ever free.
Nothing is free in this world, and I always say that, you know, I always tell my teachers that, my students, nothing in this life is free. You have to work for it. And when you work for it, you appreciate it and you value it. So in the reality of freeness is not free. You have to work hard to maintain your grades. If you get a scholarship, for example, you have to work hard to to make sure that you understand what's being taught to you. So it's not a free-for-all either. To make it more, I think, equal, we need to ensure that if we say we're getting free education, that we look at everything that encompasses what is free. Because you may be able to get into the classroom because of a scholarship or because of the free education concept. But then again, when there's no uniforms, I need books, I need to be able to get a meal every day. So it's that whole approach that we need to take as a community. This is where the feeding programs come in. This is where we need to look at how to help the children stay in school. Not just, more boys tend to drop out. Why you think? Because the boys, once they find out that they can make money and they start making money, they don't want to go back to school and waste time there when I make some money right now. This is the bread and butter issues. So we need to make it, give them an incentive, motivate them to stay in school. And that's why I totally agree with the Ministry and the Minister of Education that we need to work hard to get these children back to school. We're losing them. We're losing them to gun violence, to gang violence, to crime. Their safe space should be the schools right now. So that vaccination, I think it's super important. The faster we get our children vaccinated, the faster the schools will open and we can get back to that some sense of normalcy.
Allow me to ask one final question as we wrap up. We're quickly running out of time, but yesterday we saw the release related to the Curriculum Reform Steering Committee. I understand that you are a member of that committee. Would you speak just briefly in summary to what it is that your office is adding to that conversation in terms of steering the curriculum reform?
Okay, well, I was invited to be a part of it, and we're having our first Zoom meeting tomorrow. I was able to attend a Zoom meeting on Monday with the whole overall, with UNESCO and the overload of the curriculum. So I think what Dr. Zabane wants the partners to do, because it's different people that have been invited to be a part of this, is to look at it and see where is our curriculum? How does it look? How can we strengthen it? As an educator now, I'm looking on a personal basis, not my office, my experience with the curriculum. I think I can add to that conversation. I can, being in there, manipulating that curriculum, making it work for my school, my environment, because the curriculum is a general curriculum. You have to adapt it. You have to make it work for your school in your area, because their resources are limited. So I think that's the approach that the minister wants to take, and I'm ready to discuss, because I know what's the necessities and the needs that we have in Orange Walk, for example. And going back to the 16 days of activism very, very quickly,
No problem.
The Women's Commission did put a package together. It's a resource packet. I think they were talking about it. And in there, they have a lot of ideas on how people can get involved in the community, in the workplace, in the faith-based organizations like the churches, the media. And just because we are on the media, I'm going to highlight one thing.
Sure,
it says what the media can do is to develop guidelines for reporting on GBV, inclusive of consequences for not following them. So what you do is advocate for the prevention of gender-based violence as a media. And I can send you a packet. I'm going to have someone from my office, my team, send you the packet so you could look over it and review it and see what can we do for this month and next month, every month. It's 365 days, remember? It's not just one day, November 25th. It's all year round. We want to end gender-based violence in Belize, and it will not take one day. And it will not take one organization. It's going to be a collaborative church, home, school, workplace. Everybody needs to get involved.
Well, thanks for bringing this conversation full circle for us in terms of, the issues that we've been able to discuss, beginning with gender-based violence. So we look forward to hearing from you in the weeks ahead as we continue to look at the 16 days of activism and what it means to Belizean men, women, and children. Right? So thanks again for having joined us this morning.
You're
we
welcome.
appreciated the conversation.
Thank you very much.
We're going to take a commercial break at this point, and when we return, we're going to be joined by members of the Belize Diabetes Association as we embark on our second topic for the morning. Stay tuned.
This COVID update was brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service. Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor, and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Bundle the fastest, most reliable, unlimited broadband in Belize with your prepaid or postpaid mobile plan or Netflix. You can bundle your broadband with your prepaid and enjoy 50% off all national calls, plus get SMS and data. Paid plans? Then bundle with any speed and pay only $25 extra monthly to enjoy unlimited smart-to-smart calls, plus 500 minutes, plus 6,300 megabytes of data. Stream unlimited HD movies and TV shows with our broadband, plus the Netflix add-on for only $30 monthly, and enjoy streaming on your laptop, TV, phone, or tablet. Visit a smart showroom near you to sign up or upgrade to the bundle that's right for you. Smart, bringing people together.
Morning, B. Ready for full laid box? Yes, man. Just grab the rope and I'll put on the camera. My name is Josh Marin. I'm a commercial fisherman out of San Pedro, and I've been fishing my whole life. We've been noticing that each and every time we go out, we have to find further grounds. So when I heard about the program, I found it as a very good business opportunity. Other fishermen, when they go out, they tend to bring in everything and anything, and that's what me and my crew don't do. We practice responsible fishing.
Just show me how the app work, G.
Easy thing, bro. All we gotta do is we're gonna put in how much fish we catch right here. Today we get 15 pounds of champagne and 30 pounds of queens. We have punch that in, and that's all. Oh, one more thing.
At Fuse Bistro Limited, we care about the well-being of your family and the environment. Our Euro Caribbean-style restaurant features a wide variety of tropical lunches, gourmet dinners, Fuse granola, organic coffee, infused sangrias, margaritas, and martinis, and much more for you to enjoy. Find our organic food products at Belize, Bistro, Grab on the Go, and stores in San Ignacio and Santa Elena. WhatsApp us at 624-0500 for deliveries. Fused Bistro Limited, pure and natural.
And we're back. As we promised before the break, this segment we will be having a discussion surrounding World Diabetes Day, which is celebrated on November 14th. We have in studio with us right now the Public Relations Officer for the Belize Diabetes Association, William Dawson, as well as the Assistant Secretary for the Belize Diabetes Association, Perline Young Renault. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
So it's an important conversation in this time. It's a conversation surrounding health. We know that we're in a pandemic where health issues are at the top for us in terms of priority list. But first, let's start with World Diabetic Day and what this day across the globe seeks to highlight.
Okay, well, as you rightly said, it's World Diabetes Day on November 14th, but the entire month of November is celebrated as World Diabetes Month. Okay, and the theme this year is access to diabetes care, okay, which we believe is a very fitting topic because many people do not have access to the proper care as it relates to diabetes, and the Belize Diabetes Association has been on an all-out sensitization and awareness campaign so that our people can be better able to cope with the condition. One of the things we've noticed is that when you're diagnosed with diabetes and you're in that 45 to an hour session with that doctor, when you leave, there's no support. And there are a lot of taboo ideas having diabetes in this country for many years. And so the Belize Diabetes Association has made it a priority to reach out to our citizens to let them know that there is care and support and that being diagnosed with diabetes is not a life sentence. We're at 463 million people worldwide have diabetes, and we're also finding out that 3 in 4 of those people live in low to medium income countries. So the poor class of people have a really difficult time accessing care and medication as it relates to diabetes.
How does those situations as it relates to poverty relate or contribute to the increasing number of reported diabetic cases? The disparities, how is it that it contributes to that?
Well, as we said, living in poverty is an anomaly that is evident that you can't access proper health care, proper diet, you know. There's a high level of stress. And so these things are contributing factors, and that's why it's important that the association reaches out to people. The insulin itself is very expensive, you know, and costly, and so we try to lend that support as it relates to the care.
As you said before, we're living in a pandemic. This has made the situation worse when it comes to diabetes because people are going through a lot. Some of them have lost their jobs. Some of them have lost loved ones. And as the stress increases, so does unhealthy living. People stress eat. And when you stress eat, you eat what is available. And most of the times, it's not the healthy food that is available. So we are seeing an increase in younger persons being diagnosed with diabetes. And we're also seeing an increase of complications due to those people who were managing and are finding it difficult now to manage their condition. They have less access to medical care. They have less access to medication. And so they're finding it difficult, and the complication sets in. And as you know, with diabetes, all the organs of the body is affected. So it's from your eyes to the tip of your toes. So when you're not managing your condition, this is what happens. And now we have COVID to deal with. And so we are seeing an increase of persons with diabetes having difficulty in recovering from COVID. It's a viral infection. When you have diabetes, normally infections are very hard to fight. So when you have an infection like COVID that is very invasive, it makes it even more difficult to fight. And this is why we see more people with COVID having the underlying condition of diabetes, not making it. And it's a real situation. And that's why the best combative method is education and information.
I'm glad that you said that, if I can stick up in there. That being said, to put this into perspective, what has been perhaps the strongest message being sent by the association to its members?
Diabetes is a lifestyle condition. So it's sounds simple, but you need to change your lifestyle. Opportunities you can see in this pandemic, instead of seeing challenges, you can turn them into opportunities. Simple example, you're locked in more, but you have access to the internet. Most people have television sets where they have access to YouTube. There are lots of exercises on YouTube that are free. So now you're at home, you have the television. Instead of sitting down and binge watching Netflix, you can tune into a YouTube video where you have daily exercise shows that you can get involved with. You and your family can do that. Also, because you're locked in, you don't eat outside as much, and fast food will become less accessible for people who have to stay home. So it gives you an opportunity to make healthy meals for your family. The challenge there is, and I don't know how we can overcome it, is that when you go to the market, the healthier foods are more expensive.
Right.
So it's easier for you to buy a $3 kick down than to actually buy your vegetables and other things that would
whole wheat bread and
make
this and that.
whole wheat bread and things that would make. But it's making better choices in your daily life, making better choices. Getting up earlier, getting in that exercise, right at home. You don't have to go anywhere if you're afraid to come in contact with people. And also trying to teach your kids from early to eat healthier. I always say sugar is an acquired taste. You're not born to love and get addicted to sugar. It's introduced to you. So it's easier for you to get them from their small.
You know what's funny though? While you've mentioned the idea of sugar, so we've always held this belief that, okay, it's only from sugar.
No, it's not.
Right? I guess traditionally that's what we were told, right? Can't mix your tea too sweet, catch sweet blood, catch that.
Sugar.
Yeah, sugar, they say, we even call it sugar.
Call it sugar, yeah.
You can't eat too much junk food or too much sweets and stuff because of that. But at the same time too though, even if one were to eliminate eating junk food that contains excess sugar or what have you, or mixing the tea with too much sugar, but you're consuming
carbohydrates that turn
you're
into sugar.
And
that's where the education comes in, because a lot of people don't know that flour and different starches convert into sugar as it goes through your body, through your bloodstream, and so it creates a problem and your glucose level goes up. We have, and this is the other thing, I'm not sure who all knows about Belize Diabetes Association, but we have been in existence from 1991. And we invite all Belizeans who who have this issue or have family members that have this issue. Because myself and Mr. Dawson have not been diagnosed, but we have family members. So we joined as support to our family members.
I'm glad you said that, because I was just about to ask you, William, how did you get involved?
I have my son DeAndre, who had been diagnosed when he was 4 years old with type 1 diabetes, which means that his pancreas was not producing insulin any at all. So he was insulin dependent. And at that time, it was a very scary situation. Ms. Perlin could tell you, being in and out of the hospital, missing work, it was very stressful. I had great psychological impact on both my son and myself and my family, of course. But even more so to him, who was a child. And you know, as children, the regular things are, you are involved in the sweet and binge eating and that type of stuff of junk food. So it was very, very difficult. He's 20 years old, thankfully, doing well. Me and Ms. P were speaking about it, and we're so thankful to the Belize Diabetes Association for giving that care and support. And so in that regard, I have always been supportive of the Belize Diabetes Association and speak out on their behalf. But more so, it's a reality that 14.9% of our population has diabetes, which accounts for like 50,000 people. So there's a large amount, and the scary part of it is that culturally we've been shunning away from the issue of having diabetes. You know, it's still a taboo subject. People are ashamed to tell you that they have diabetes. I can tell you over the years, hundreds of people have approached us and we've said, hey, come and join the association, let's join in the fight. And they're like, oh, no, I just like my medication and stay behind the scenes. But very prominent people in our country suffer from diabetes, in fact, around the world. And so the Diabetes Association urges our citizens to get tested, become aware of the symptoms, the signs. You know, when DeAndre was little, I didn't know better. He used to pee his bed a lot, was always thirsty and dizzy and weak, always very hungry. And those signs were not normal. But now that we know what it is, we encourage people to look for these symptoms in your children and even in yourself. You know, you're going to the bathroom too often, you might want to check to see where your sugar levels are, and that's how important it really is.
Especially if your family has a history of having diabetes, because in my case, my mom died from complications with diabetes. There are 12 of us, and at least 6 of us are living with the condition right now. My husband was diagnosed and he had to take insulin. So I know a lot of people in Belize know people who have diabetes or in their own families who have diabetes. So it shouldn't be a taboo subject anymore. It should be something that can be talked about. You know, you seek help. We have free glucose testing this month as part of our diabetes awareness. We have free counseling. For the glucose, you can go anytime and get tested. But for the counseling, you just need to make an appointment. And you can get counseling, because it is something kind of scary to find out that you have a disease that you will have to manage for the rest of your life. Or you can lose a limb, you can lose your eyesight. So it's easier to get support and to get the proper education. We have our monthly meetings. We're doing it Zoom now because of the COVID situation, but it's every month, every third Saturday of every month. You can tune in. We have healthcare professionals that give all kinds of good advice when it comes to managing your conditions. So the support is there. We only have even though over 50,000 adults, and this is between the age of 20 and 79, are living with the condition in Belize, we have over 600 members. So it's a small number of people who are accessing our services, where there is a huge population of people who should be trying to access some service.
When we think of diabetes, critical to the treatment, as you guys have rightly mentioned, is a healthy lifestyle. So we speak about exercising, we speak about eating healthy. However, when you consider, again, as you rightly said, the cost of healthy foods at the market, the healthy options, not everybody
can afford
that. And you've said that this seems to be a disease majority among low-income and poor families. How do we bridge that gap? How do you suggest we bridge that gap so that more healthier options can be made readily accessible and available for families and people that really need it?
Yeah, I'm sure that's a discussion that has to be
On the
held
government
at a
level.
very high level.
But my thing is, a lot of the healthy food are grown in Belize.
Yes.
And that's always a question for me. Why is it so expensive to buy cauliflower and broccoli? We grow those. We don't have to import it anymore. We had the issue with the carrots the other day. There are so many things that is available at the market that can be less pricey if it's made known that our staple, for we Belizean staple per Sunday, that rice and beans, chicken and salad. The rice and beans are already the carbohydrates. The potato salad, the carbohydrates, right? I think it's just a matter of choice. Instead of buying this, you buy that. Instead of buying the potato, you buy lettuce and you make a healthy garden salad instead of making potato salad, because you already have rice and beans. Okay, so and then the way you pile your plate. We've always been saying this.
That's why I'm laughing, because it's difficult to break tradition.
Yes,
right?
yes.
While we know what is healthy for us, if we've grown up in a traditional Belizean family where, as you mentioned earlier, rice and beans, chicken and salad is the order of the day for Sunday, that's what we wake up looking forward to. Much the same way as on Thanksgiving we expect turkey. We've cultured ourselves to think, okay, this is what it is going to be based on day of the week, season of the year,
and then we eat rice almost every day. Like this is what I've seen, even where I work. You know, we have to bring the education that it doesn't have to be rice every day. There are some options you can use instead of having rice every day. But traditionally, that's what we do when it's lunchtime. We look for somewhere that's selling rice, something with rice. And so it's just like I said, it's a matter, a conscious matter of choice. You have to want to make yourself healthy. You have to decide that this is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to make myself healthy. We wanted to get into the schools, and this is another thing that we're pushing today. We have our first Zoom session with teachers and students. We've provided the link. We've provided the ID, and to all the schools, and all of them can log in. We have one today at 10 to 11, and then tomorrow, I think it's 2 to 3. But we're trying to get the education part in every part. And we have, well, right now it can't be done because people are going to school from home. But when school reopens, we're trying to get into the school and trying to have healthy snacks. If it's feeding programs, trying to see how they can rearrange their menus to have the kids eat a healthier meal. We've been trying our best to reach every corner of the country to try and give education. We're also donating medication and supplies as part of our celebration of Diabetes Month to healthcare facilities. But I always say prevention is better than medication and looking forward to complication. So
it's cheaper as well.
Yeah, it's much cheaper. So it's you have to make that choice now. Personally, I've started to exercise. I've cut out soda from my diet totally, and I'm starting to see a difference. I know my family has this disease hereditary, so it is even more important that if that's the case, you make that healthy choice so you're here longer. And then with COVID, makes it even more important for you to start making healthy choices when it comes to eating and exercising.
As we wrap up, speak to some of the, and I know you made a mention of a couple, the activities that are planned for celebrating World Diabetes Day throughout and World Diabetes Month, things that the wider community can also participate in?
Well, like Ms. Perline mentioned, most of our interaction is through Zoom, virtually, because of the COVID-19 regulations and restrictions in social gathering. Around this time of the year, usually, you know, Isani would be buzzing with our ride out diabetes
and our walk,
you know, and our youth camp, which is always a big hit amongst the youths. So most of our interaction is virtual, but more so what we are focusing on is the key aspect of having people know that it's not a death sentence being diagnosed with diabetes. It's a very manageable condition, like Ms. P alluded to. It's just based on lifestyle decisions.
You have to be on top of it.
You have to just be on top of your game. And you have to make a conscious effort to identify that you cannot afford to be eating like Isani because you watch Isani plate and it looks buff. That's what our problem is. We're always looking at each other's plate, you know. and that's something that we have to do. And again, that's hard as a human being to do if you're already used to that culture of eating everything that you see. And so we also have a culture where people run away from the healthy stuff. Back in the day, our parents gave us, you know, the serosidi, the medicines, the herbs. Children today are not really accessing that, and adults. So these are the things that we want to get to and let people understand also that out of that 50,000 people we spoke about who are diagnosed with diabetes, most of them are type 2. So that's preventable and reversible if you access the right care and live a proper lifestyle. It's going to be okay. So we're not trying to frighten the nation with this conversation, but rather to advocate for healthier living on a whole. Diabetes does not only affect one part of your body, it affects every part of your body. Your kidneys, your eyes, your hair, from your head to your toe. You know, and so it's very important for us to sound the alarm, to open your eyes and make sure that you're aware of your status, especially if you have hereditary conditions that affect your entire family. You want to make sure that you're checking yourself out.
And I'd just like to give the number for the Belize Diabetes Association is 203-3333. It's very easy to remember. Just dial 20 and the rest of the trees. And we're doing glucose testing this month, so we want people to come in and access that service. We are trying to get people to get support because the team is access to diabetes care. So we're trying to push that, you know, that it's easy to access. Once you get the information, it's easy to access support and care. And like I said, education, information is better than medication and complication. So I'm urging all Belizeans who suspect that they might have this condition, frequent urination, excessive hunger, what is thirst? What are some of the other symptoms that they can look for?
Dizziness.
Dizziness and wounds that don't heal the way they should. All of these are signs that you might have diabetes. So if these are what's going on with you, we urge you to seek medical help and then to come to us for support.
All right. Well, that's a great way to wrap up the conversation. We want to thank the Belize Diabetes Association for joining us in this conversation. With that, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be hearing all about the University of Belize's annual Expo. It's going virtual again. We're going to learn more about what that entails, so stay tuned.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says, Moab is my washpot. Over Edom will I cast out my shoe. Over Philistia will I triumph. Here Jehovah God is described as a warrior who has defeated the nations in Canaan and divided the land among his people. Shechem is described as a chief city, Ephraim being strong as his helmet. Judah, being the royal tribe, is bearing his scepter, but Moab is chosen as his washpot or wash basin. Moab was nothing but a washpot or a basin, something contemptible and despicable, yet there was a use for Moab. To wash the feet was the office of a slave, and in every home the guest was greeted by a servant with a basin of water to wash and refresh their feet, or a basin for soldiers coming from the battlefield. It was not the most desirable position and profession to have. Moab was aware of her dark background and incestuous birth due to a drunken father and the curse placed upon her because of it. But she was not ruled out from service to God, even if it meant being God's washpot. But she was not alone. Can we not but remember that poor sinful woman who came where Jesus was and stood at his feet behind him weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and did wipe them with the hairs of her head, and kissed his feet and anointed them with precious ointment? Blessed are those who share Moab's story, but who serve and honor God in an humble and insignificant place and become washpots for a dirty world. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart. During these times, we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and save the little resources we have. With Smart, it's easy to do that. It's a fact that with Smart, your credit lasts longer. You can call Smart to Smart and Smart to Digi using your promo credit, while with the other guy, you can only call OnNet, Digi, or BTL numbers. What does this mean? You get to call any national number using your promo credit. Your promo credit is free, so that call is also free. Know your facts. Don't be tricked by the other guy. Be smart and save your dollars.
The TV you love is always with you, from live TV, sports, and on-demand titles. Choose your plan today. Plans start as low as $15 per month. My TV, entertainment, anytime, anywhere.
I was approached by our district president, Mr. Garcia, to attend a workshop because we, as a men fellowship, discuss different issues pertaining to men. And while I attended the session, I found it very beneficial, interesting, and educational. There are lots of youths who I have taught and who live in the community where I'm working. They are young men, young adults, and the sessions that we did would help them. I felt that it would be beneficial if I speak to these men on a one-to-one and peer basis to discuss the same issues that we discuss in our sessions so that they can impact some change in their lives. We discuss gender issues, crime and violence, gender roles, and they are very receptive to the learning to what I had shared with them. Not everyone would be open to going to a session that we have, but by this medium that I approached in mentoring them, talking to them, I felt that more was able to be discussed with them. It made a greater impact in their lives, and I felt better about it. The biggest takeaway was the man box, and that men do wear masks everywhere they go. At home, they're wearing a mask with their family, with their friends, they're wearing another mask at their jobs, another mask. So everywhere they go, they have to wear a mask to fit in with society. And I learned a lot that we need to unpack that man box to show our true selves.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun with eCash. We can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform. Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go. You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
And welcome back. Our final segment for this morning is a conversation with the good folks from the University of Belize as they prepare for their 14th annual Marketing Expo. That being said, we have with us via Zoom this morning a lecturer from the University of Belize, Stacey Tewes. Good morning, Ms. Tewes.
Good morning. Thank you for welcoming our marketing class today. It's a pleasure to be here. We greatly appreciate your support.
Perfect. We also have with us Naveen Diaz. She's a representative of Smart Cash. Good morning, Naveen.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Talk to us about the 14th annual, if I may. This whole idea of marketing and getting as many students involved in product development and advertising and that sort of stuff.
Of Belize Marketing Expo, our students experience realistic simulations that let them see what it's like to start, manage, and build a company. Working with their peers, they tackle challenges of a startup, from idea generation, securing financing, launching their business, and by the end of the semester, they understand how to turn a great idea into a business plan, perfect their elevator pitch, they learn some salesmanship, and they even make some sales. So yes, it's the 14th annual Expo. However, it's our second virtual Expo. So every year, students they really look forward to participating in the Marketing Expo. And in the spirit of entrepreneurship, since the pandemic, we decided to move the Expo online, so that students can continue to benefit from this experience. So even though we were unable to continue having the big venue because of social distancing, we focused. So we've seen success in the first virtual Expo with the ability to quickly shift and adapt focus. And in general, the COVID-19 pandemic has dramatically impacted the way that business is conducted in Belize. But we're determined to make the best of the days ahead and the years to come, right? So we might have a combination in the future of online and in person once, well, I don't want to say when things get back to normal because I don't know if that will happen, but as time progresses, right? So our students, they've been actively promoting and offering their services over social media platforms, particularly mostly Facebook, to customers. So they've been interacting with customers, which is different than the previous format. You know, so the interaction with the students and customers have been taking place during the semester. And this new format has impacted our expo in many ways, but most importantly, it's forced creativity among ourselves and our students. So this is our second virtual expo. It will be held on Friday, the 26th of November via the university's Facebook page, and it will start at 8:30 until 2 p.m. with a break in the middle. And our theme is innovative, interactive, breakthrough initiatives. So we have a total of 36 groups and 189 students with their products and services and even online services, which is new. And so some examples of the kinds of products and services. We have smart apps. We have Naveen here today. She has developed a smart app. We have a lot of online teaching tools, even a drive-through service, a lot of organic products, virtual study buddy, vegan restaurant and yoga coffee studios, so, among others. So there'll be many. So we welcome everyone to join us in supporting our students as they showcase their talents.
You know, it's interesting the way these expos expose the trends in terms of products in this time and age, and for whatever time or age these expos are held. For example, we see where organic products are trending. We also see where where people are moving towards using the internet and the virtual space more, so to see now virtual apps or digital apps being developed as well. Is this also perhaps a way for the university and for the country to be exposed to what's trending in terms of businesses?
Well, certainly. One of the first stages of our product is the assessment of customer need. So they do a lot of polling, pilot testing, concept testing to assess the need in the environment, the need of people. They go out and talk to people and ask them what they would like to see. And from there, students brainstorm and develop products and services that are targeted and honed towards the customer's needs in the changing environment.
Yeah, and I want to bring in the representative from Smart Cash, Ms. Naveen Diaz, in the conversation. Let's talk a bit about your product. What is Smart Cash?
So Smart Cash is a digital software that we choose to, it facilitates transactions when purchasing food at the school's cafeteria. So considering the pandemic and students possibly returning to school, we wanted to make an impact on students' lives and create something that, you know, we can use to be safer and healthier. So that is where Smart Cash came about.
How does the product work? If I go to school and I want to purchase something, how do I get that done? Through Smart Cash.
The way Smart Cash works is, like I mentioned, it's a barcode system. So it follows a basic algorithm just to ensure that you can purchase your food with just the scan of a code. So it comes along with every student's personal account. It's linked to the barcode, and that way you can purchase food from the cafeteria. And it's just as easy as 1, 2, 3. You make a scan, get your food, and go.
Okay, so just another question on that. You're saying that the customer can put cash on their app and as a result have that type of currency to pay?
Yes.
So is that what you're saying?
Yes, so with the barcode, it comes with designated rechargeable funds that the students can use. So that way, the more you use the app Smart Cash, the more funds you can receive to purchase.
Wow. How did you come up with this idea? What inspired you?
Well, for my team and I, we wanted to cater to the University of Belize. So we thought, why not create something that, you know, the university can invest in? So this way, we just thought of Smart Cash because, like we said, even though the students would be the primary users, the university would have to be the one to implement the software into their environment.
Okay.
What has been the buy-in from students over the years in terms of participating in this expo, and what, if any, has been the follow-up or the success of those who have gone through this particular initiative and move on to other areas of professional life?
Well, as for the expo, I do have a couple of friends that when participated, they came up with, an excellent idea and took it further to creating their own businesses and becoming entrepreneurs. As for the Smart Cash app, we would one day, of course, like to expand to wider concepts for the school, like the libraries, the bookstores, for example, and so on. So if that could be implemented into the school's environment, that would be a great help, especially in the times of COVID-19 right now. So we do believe that we can make an impact and really help the school and promote the different changed experience as a student at the University of Belize.
Ms. Tewes, what are some of the interesting products that you've seen come out of the past expos that are now doing well on the local market and perhaps even internationally?
Well, that's a good question, because some students decide to continue their business even after Expo. So few of the successful businesses that have continued on are, for example, Belize Eco Bag. There's also a donut business that's still continuing. There are online businesses that companies have decided to adopt, and even some stores have started selling the students' products in store. Of course, the really interested students are the ones who decide that marketing is their future, are the ones that more invested. So not all businesses continue post-Expo, but when they do, we give them that support and acknowledge them, and we're very proud of our students.
Now, we have a representative of Smart Cash with us. However, Ms. Tewes, if you would speak to a couple of the other interesting products that viewers and those wanting to participate can expect when the annual Marketing Expo is aired, the 14th annual.
Okay, so as I mentioned, now we have a greater range of products. So in the past, we had more physical products. Now we are seeing more online services. And one of my, I guess, favorite online services that's coming out this year is one called Donuts, where students meet with other students. They've been in isolation during the pandemic, and then they can form social clubs with other students. And there are more services like this, so we see more online services. We have our usual products, like a lot of them are natural, organic products. We have a few meal prep services and workout. So most of the products and services are intended to uplift people, because, as you know, during the pandemic, many of us have been going through a lot of change and stress. So when we assessed the need in the market, found that the biggest need was one, social, and two, the need for mindfulness and positivity. So you will find that many of the products and services fall under this category of upliftment and trying to encourage and motivate people to focus on self-improvement. So they are tools for self-improvement, and I'm really excited for this, because in my opinion, this is very ethical marketing, and they're very happy about their ability to help others. So we have very altruistic students who really care about helping their fellow man, and I'm really appreciate this.
All right. Well, with that, Ms. Tewes, if you would, I would allow you a minute to give your parting words as we wrap up, encouraging people to tune in and to participate in the expo.
Okay, well, thank you again for having us on your show. And we'd like to remind everyone that the date is, and you can mark it on your calendars, Friday the 26th of November from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. with a break in the middle on the UB Facebook page. And our theme again is innovative, interactive breakthrough initiatives. So we hope to see the Channel 5 tune in. So and also we hope that the general audience watching this show would support our students. So thank you again for having us here.
Thank you too. So with that, a lot of exciting stuff happening for this year's University of Belize Expo. We're going to be taking a break, and when we come back, we will be having our wrap-up segment where we wrap up this morning's show.
Like other vaccines, the COVID-19 vaccines being developed have been through the same trial phases and rigorous process required for all vaccines. Global efforts on the development of the vaccines are built on existing research from previous coronaviruses like MERS and SARS-1. As COVID-19 vaccines are approved for their broad use in the population, be reassured that they will continue to be monitored to identify any adverse events. Your safety is our top priority. Vaccines bring us closer.
Hello, welcome to Samsung's awesome experience right here in Belize. Come check it out. Not sure which Samsung Galaxy A series is right for you? Touch, play, and learn about your device before you buy. Once you've purchased your device, you can now benefit from the full Samsung service experience. Your phone is covered by a 1-year local warranty. This includes manufacturer defects and software and hardware issues caused by the manufacturer. Enjoy your phone with peace of mind knowing that your Galaxy is protected. And when your warranty expires, you can still bring it to our certified Samsung Repair Center. Our technicians will diagnose and repair your device with Samsung original parts and machinery. Enjoy the Samsung experience when you shop at any of our authorized partners countrywide, including Cellular World, Digi, Odette's Home Center, Debari, Tropigas, and Quartz. Join the Samsung experience in Belize today.
Hey son, how was your first day at Sixth Form?
Really cool. It was great to see my friends, and I really love my teachers.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm sorry I wasn't there for your first day, but I'll be back from Corozal next week.
It's okay, Dad. I can't wait to see you. Oh, and please remember, I still have some books I need to purchase.
Ah, yes. Let me e-cash you that right now. Money has been sent. I add a little extra cash just for you.
Whoa, Dad. Thanks. Got it.
You're welcome, sir.
Download the eCash app today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257. eCash, the future is here.
When something is good and you can save, that makes it even better. Like this guy, he buys Flex bundles using his promo credit. No worries when his primary credit is finished. He gets talk, text, and data for free. Or her, she calls her family internationally with her promo credit. And with data packages so affordable, she even does video calls. Smart continues to offer great deals and affordable promotions. As a small business owner, she saves when she uses her promo credit to call the other guys. All Smart customers enjoy more triple days and knowing they can use their promo credit, which just lasts longer. Smart, bringing people together. And welcome back. We're at the tail end of our show this morning. We must say that we have had 3 different conversations that were enlightening in their own right. I know that the conversation we had in the beginning of the show with the special envoy to discuss a range of issues that are important to us as a country and as a nation. That conversation with her sort of shed light on gender-based violence as we go into the 16 days of activism. We also had a conversation with representatives from the Belize Diabetes Association as they commemorate World Diabetes Day and, of course, World Diabetes Month. And what you can also look forward to later this month, I believe it's on the 26th of November, is the 14th annual Expo organized by the University of Belize. It's a marketing fair more than anything else where you can virtually this time around for the second year be able to see what the school has to offer and its students who are taking marketing courses have to offer. But that brings us to the end of our show this morning, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, those are really great conversations and things to look forward to this month. However, before we end, we do want to let our faithful viewers, those that tune in on a regular basis, to open your eyes. We want to let you know that we'll be celebrating our anniversary, our 13th anniversary on November the 17th. That's next week, Wednesday. So that's also something for you to look forward to. And we're making a request, a simple request for you to kindly send a 30 seconds video. And in that video, you're saying, happy 13th anniversary to Open Your Eyes. You send that video, and next week, Wednesday, we will be including that video in our 13th anniversary celebration. So the simple request, a 30 seconds video, send it to our Facebook page saying, happy anniversary, Open Your Eyes, happy 13th anniversary.
And of course, the information for you to be able to contact us is being displayed on the screen, so you can feel free to send us an email, send us a message with your concerns or your input, and we'll certainly be looking for that.
Well, with that,
we end our show this morning. Remember,
until tomorrow, join us back right here, same place, same time. But until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your hearts open.
Thank you.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.